Good Saturday morning, everybody. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and it is once again time for what every cruiser wants. And I have 3 new cruise comments for you this week. So let's jump right in and learn how we should be cruising. So let's jump right in here with our first comment. And I have to ask right up front, if you go on a cruise ship, and I've said this before, that has crew members that come from over 60 different countries around the world, why do you believe that they are going to talk exactly like you, that they're going to use words exactly the way you use words? Is it really inconceivable to believe that the way people say things from other places around the world are not said negatively, they're just the way people talk? Well, apparently not everyone knows that, and not everyone understands that. I can't be the only one who thinks this. Whenever I see you refer to someone who pays your salary get called mate, I find it very rude and offensive. You are supposed to be a representative of a cruise line, yet mate assumes a certain level of familiarity between you and Carnival's customers, which most I'm not comfortable with. So this, of course, was written into Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, John Heald. John Heald is from the UK. He's from England. They say mate. But this person finds it rude. This person finds it offensive. So let's start off with the very obvious thing, at least obvious to me, that we should do. Let's look up the definition of the word mate. All right, mate is a term used to refer to a friend, but may also be a cordial way of referring to another person whom you may or may not know. Sounds super offensive to me. And a good example of what I believe is people not understanding that the rest of the world is not like it is in your backyard. That different people from different places around the world are going to say things a little bit differently, but it's not offensive. It's not rude. It's a part of their language. And as a cruiser, again, you're going to get on a ship with crew members from around the world. You're going to visit different ports and places around the world. You might want to accept up front that they may not talk exactly like you. But let me throw it out there to you guys. Do you think if somebody from the UK, in this case, John Heald from the UK, was to call you mate in a conversation, would you think it was rude? Would you think it was offensive? Or do you understand that that's simply a word that they use that means friend? Comment number 2. Now this one, it's almost reads to me as a person with, some entitlement. I'm better than everyone else, but they don't even realize that they come across that way. Now maybe I'm reading it wrong, but that's kind of how it comes across to me. So let's read the comment, that way you guys can decide for yourselves. I told our Facebook group that I always have left behind articles of clothing or shoes that maybe someone could get some wear out of yet, but I no longer wanted and didn't want to pack again. I figured the stateroom attendant could either keep and send home to their family, they could pass it along or toss. I was flamed for doing this. I thought, being from a third world country, that they would appreciate me doing it. I have now been blocked from the group by the mods. Why was I wrong? Now, I have my opinions exactly of why you were wrong. First of all, you're just leaving your hand-me-downs, your dirty clothes, your dirty shoes, whatever, in your cabin, hoping that the stateroom attendant's going to come in and go, "Oh my God, I'm so lucky. Look what they left me from my little third world country self. I'm so glad. I'm going to send these home to my mom right now." And maybe that's an exaggeration, but that's kind of what I think this person is thinking. I don't think the room stewards want your dirty clothes. I don't think the room stewards want your hand-me-downs. I guarantee you the room stewards don't want the extra work of having to collect this stuff up and throw it away. And statements like, "Being from a third world country, I just figured they would appreciate me." Maybe that's why you got blocked from the group. Maybe that's exactly why they kicked you out. But let me throw it out there to you guys, because maybe I'm reading this completely wrong and you guys will have a different point of view. Do you think this person is right? And I've read comments before where people leave things behind, but do you really think the room steward wants this kind of stuff? That they are taking this kind of stuff and sending it home because they're from third world countries and they should just appreciate you? Does anybody think that that is actually the case? And that maybe this group shouldn't have blocked them for thinking that way? And finally, comment number 3. Now, this one is not rude. This one did not come across as entitled. I feel it came more across as a query, a question, but one that I've seen asked multiple times. It's been answered multiple times, but people still ask it. So let's take a look at this comment. I am taking my 8th Carnival cruise on the Vista in September. My 2 sons will be joining us. They are both 19 and both at Laughlin Air Force Base serving their country in the U.S. Air Force. I have reread Carnival's policy on drinking, which states that 18 to 20-year-olds or young adults are not permitted to drink, not even drink beer or wine. Please don't bash me thinking that I am letting them get ripped, because that's not happening. They have too much honor and discipline to do this. I have called my travel agent, who said I should contact you, sir, to see if there is a waiver so they can enjoy a drink with their family before their deployment in November. Thank you for your considering this. All right, like I said, not rude, not entitled, a query, a question. And you can tell this comes from a parent. This isn't coming from the 2 young airmen serving in the Air Force. This is coming from a parent. But the rules on the cruise ship are you must be over 21 to drink. There is no waiver that can be signed. And these 2 young men, with their honor and their discipline in the United States Air Force, should be well aware that the rules must be followed. Now, they weren't asking to break the rules. They were asking if there was a waiver that would allow this to happen. But unfortunately, it is not going to happen. And like I said, and I've seen this asked again and again. And there could be a complete debate on whether or not people who join the military at 18, serving their country, going off and doing the things their country asks them to do, should they be allowed to have a beverage, an alcoholic beverage, even though they are not yet 21? Some people will say yes, some people will say no. In the case of the cruise lines, they say no. But there is an easy and simple solution to this, because the majority of the countries that these cruises visit, particularly if you go to a Caribbean cruise, you go down to places like Mexico, some places in the Caribbean, the legal drinking age while you're off the ship in that country a lot of times is 18. If you go to Mexico, it is 18. And as a family, if you want to disembark the ship, go into a local restaurant, have a drink together as a family, it is perfectly legal to do so. And for anybody that's traveling with their kids and wants to do something like that, that is the way you do it on a cruise if you're keeping, everything above board. Now, along with this though, there was a survey that was put out to ask passengers what you think. Should these young men or young men in this situation, young women in this situation, be allowed to have a waiver? Should they be allowed to have a drink on a cruise ship? A survey was done. So let's take a look at the results. So the question was asked, do you believe we should have a waiver for serving military men and women ages 18 to 20 to be able to drink alcohol on board, considering they are old enough to serve that country? Now, for this particular screenshot, only 2.7 thousand people had voted. Some people definitely said yes. Some people said, I have no opinion either way. But the majority of people that voted said no. And then they left comments that said, military personnel should be aware the rules are the rules and they should understand how to follow them. And as long as the rule is 21, then they should not be allowed to have a waiver. Now, me personally, I'm a little bit torn on this particular subject because I remember being 18 in the military. But that was quite a number of years ago. And I remember some of the things that us young soldiers used to do and the troubles we used to get into, and usually alcohol was involved. So serving your country doesn't always necessarily make you the most responsible individual, at least not at that kind of time. And I was not always the best soldier when I was 18, 19 years old. Later on in my career in a leadership position, I had to deal with the consequences of our 18, 19, even 21-year-olds and some of the mischief, we'll call it mischief, that they got into while consuming alcohol. Even though they are, disciplined, responsible soldiers, the mischief still ensues. With soldiers, it always does. So I can kind of see both sides of the story. I remember being 18 and, wanting to have a beer. I get it. But I also get the other side where the rule is 21 and having to deal with some of the stuff that happened for those that weren't 21 and even some that were over 21 kind of makes me understand why the rule is in place. But let me throw it out there to you guys. What do y'all think? If there's an 18, 19, 20-year-old serving military member on board a cruise ship with their family, should they be allowed to have a drink? Should the cruise lines offer a waiver in those types of situations? Or, because the rule is 21, that is the rule that should be enforced? Because if they do give a waiver, where does it end? If they give a waiver for this group, what is to stop the next group or this group or that group from also thinking they should be allowed to have the same type of privilege? Let me know what you guys think about this comment. And that's going to be our video today for what every cruiser wants. Again, let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you agree with these comments? Do you not agree with these comments? Do these people have valid points and legitimate reasons for writing these comments? Or, not in the case of the last one and the first two, are they just a little bit off the wall? I hope everyone out there has enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. Helps our channel grow. Let you know anytime we put out a new video. I hope everyone out there is having a really great day and a really great weekend. And like always, we will see you out on the high seas.